Hello and welcome to neo-varsity-live, our weekly interactive show here on cleveland.com. It's about everything high school football here in Northeast Ohio. I'm your host, Scott Patsko, along with Mark-Kern and Joe-noga. Now, I want to tell you right off the bat that you have a chance to be involved in this show. You can either comment in this post or tweet at us at hashtag neo-varsity. You can leave a comment about this show. You can leave a question for us or for the guests. You can give your thoughts on any of the topics we talk about. Everything's fair game. Now, if you've seen this show before, you know we start off with a segment called Opening Kickoff. It's where we kind of run through a bunch of different topics and get your thoughts on just the football scene in general. Let's start off by taking a look back at Week 7. And what's the biggest surprise for you from Week 7?
I think the way that Hudson had a couple of miscues, a little bit of sloppy play, really was a big shot for the number one team in our poll.
I think St. Vincent St. Mary kind of looking for that signature win, defeating a good Dayton Thurgood Marshall team. I think that could be a jump start to another run.
In the NOC, Mayfield and Garfield Heights both seem to be on track for division titles. Who has the clearer path?
I think Garfield Heights has a clearer path. They're getting healthy at the right time, and they're a pretty strong team in that division.
Going to go with Mayfield, take out a 1-point loss to Nordonia. This team's undefeated, beating some very good teams, and I think they're just playing excellent football right now.
Speaking of playing good football, Willoughby South and Beechwood both started 0-3, and they've won every game since then. Who do you think's had the best turnaround?
I don't think when Willoughby South was 0-3, anybody thought that they could come back and beat Madison. That was a big surprise there.
Beechwood had some big expectations. That 0-3 start kind of surprising. 1-4 straight, Nate Hamilton leading the way, so Bison are looking good.
Two of the most dynamic players in the West Shore Conference, Rocky River quarterback Matt Lowry, North Ridgeville running back Demario McCall, neither one on a team challenging for the title right now. Put them together on the same team, does that change it? Do they challenge for the West Shore Conference?
I don't think that team would challenge for the West Shore Conference title. Midview and Avon still pretty strong, but that team probably scores 100 points in at least one game.
I'm going to agree with Scott, and I think we'd see more 83-50 style of games, so.
We know the NOC Valley gets a lot of props for how good it is. What conference is the most underrated?
I think the Suburban League, beyond Nordonia being a dominant team, their 2 through 4 teams are pretty strong.
I'm going to go with the Southwestern. You saw some of the teams lower in the standings take some of the top teams to overtime, and I think that just shows the quality of the depth.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think if you look at Strongsville and Glenville, you got two teams that lost their quarterback early on, but they're still in the playoff chase or actually holding on to a playoff spot. Any other teams in Northeast Ohio accomplish that?
Big surprise here because it's one of our highly touted teams, but I think Hudson is a pretty strong team. They've got a backup in Kyle Ator, who's a senior. I think if Mitch Guadani were to ever go down, Kyle Ator would be able to deliver.
I'm going to say no. We're so deep in the season, 3 weeks away from playoffs. You need the guys that have led you the first 7 weeks.
Who's the best wide receiver in Northeast Ohio right now?
I got Justin Lane from Benedictine. He's a playmaker, and he's got great size.
Going to agree with Joe. He's the same. He doesn't have the numbers because of the rushing attack, but overall, I think he's the best.
Going to go journalism angle here and ask you about something near and dear to my heart, post-game quotes. Which player do you think gives the best post-game interview?
I talked to Jerome Baker after the first week of the season. Very thoughtful answers. Great kid.
Going to go Brett Keene of St. Edward. Tells you exactly what he thinks happened in the game, and just a great speaker overall.
How about coach? Which coach gives the best post-game quotes?
After a game, I can't wait to get in line and talk to Steve Trevisano from Mentor. He's always a great quote.
Going to go Coach Kyle from St. Ignatius. You never know what he's going to say, and leaves you excited to see here.
Speaking of St. Ignatius, they, and along with St. Edward, play Cincinnati Moeller over the next couple weeks, defending state champ. Either of those teams have a chance to knock off Moeller?
I give St. Edward the stronger chance to beat Moeller. I think they played them tight the last couple of years. I give Eds the inside track.
I think they both have a chance, but for Ignatius, it could be for a playoff berth, so the game may mean more. So I think the Wildcats would definitely be motivated in that game.
All right, last question. Looking at the Week 8 schedule, what's the most important game?
I've got Rocky River versus Avon. Basically, Rocky River needs to pull the upset of, the second upset of the year in the West Shore Conference in order to make the playoffs.
I'm going to go Nordonia and Talmadge. Talmadge is a team. They could really use a big win or at least compete really well, so I think Talmadge needs to show up Friday.
All right, well, that'll do it for now. We'll let you guys off the hook, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on the show. Now we're going to move on to our pop quiz segment. The way this works is we throw out a question, and give you the chance to answer it. Later on in the show, we'll show you the answer, and we'll let you know who got it right. This week's question is, how many undefeated teams are left in the cleveland.com top 25? And the options are A4, B8, C7, or D6. and challenge yourself. Don't open up another browser to check. Just try and guess. See if you get it right. And again, we'll show you the answer later on in the show and let you know who got it right. But while you're thinking about that, we'll welcome on our guests for this week. We have 3 quarterbacks. We have Nordonia's David Murray, Berea-Midpark's Nick Gassman, and Midview's Dustin Crum. It's hard to remember 3 names in a row like that, people. Before we get to a little bit about your positions, let's talk a little bit about the success your teams have had. I think coming into this season, you all had different expectations, at least kind of looking in from the outside. And in your case, in Nordonia, you're trying to get back to the playoffs. And I think people looked at how many people you had coming back and saw you as a real contender for even a state title. But you come out of the gate and you have the close game with Mayfield. What do you think that did to your team?
I think it woke us up. Mayfield, they're a great program, a great team. We started off that season, or that game, my fault. They came out in a completely different coverage that we planned for. Their coaching staff did a great job, and I think it really had a kickstart to our senior year and got us going and looking forward to what's next. So.
Now, Nick, this is the 2nd season since the merger, and last season you go 3-7. I think a lot of people expected there to be a success from this football team because you're putting 2 schools together. What do you think allowed you to get to this point where you're 6-1 from what happened last season?
I think a lot of people bought into the program, in the off season, and realized how good we really could be. And we built a lot of chemistry with the camps in 2 days, and that's made us 6-1 to this day.
Oh, it's working. Now, with Midview, also didn't make the playoffs last year, and you had a lot of people coming back, but you were not one of them. You come off the freshman team now, you're starting on varsity in place of a 3-year starter. What do you think made your transition so smooth there?
We definitely had some great leaders coming up to help me out. We got a great receiving core, and our line definitely was a big question mark for us this year, but they stepped up and just done a great job for us.
Now, Nick, is there a game you point to this year where you say, that's the game where I thought that I knew we were going to be as good as I thought we could?
The Strongsville game was definitely a big one for us. We proved people that we could.
Even though you didn't win that game,
yeah.
Just how well you played.
How we could compete with some of the best teams around.
How about for Midview? Is there a game that you point to as kind of your turning point this year?
I would say week 1 in Lorraine, because it showed that we could play with a really good team in Lorraine with some of the athletes they have, with Rashad Berry and their quarterback. They just have some great athletes there.
Is there a game that you feel Nordonia really kind of got itself rolling?
I'd say the Green game. Green has some great players and had a new coaching staff this year, and we came out hard and beat them 52-0. So that was a good jump start to what we got going. So.
Now, you've all been involved in big plays this season. When you look back at what you've accomplished so far, is there a play that sticks out as your favorite this season?
I'd say 4th and 10 in overtime against Mayfield. Game was on the line, and we had a roll out right, and I hit Alex Alders in the front corner of the end zone. So
that's a memorable one. How about you?
Against North Olmsted last week, we were down 7, 2 minutes left. It was 4th and 15, and I hit Justin Harris for a first down.
Yeah.
We ended up scoring and tying it up.
How about you, Dustin?
Probably the game-winning touchdown against Avon. It was just awesome, and rush of emotions. It was sweet.
What's the best advice you've gotten about playing quarterback, and who gave it to you? We'll start with Dustin down in the end.
Probably one of my coaches. He always to stay collected and calm and cool and never lose your composure. Never get too high and never get too low at the same time.
I have to agree with Dustin. Just stay calm and just, if you make a mistake, just don't get down on yourself and keep your head up.
I'd say the same thing that these guys said. Coach Fox always says play by play, and no matter what happens, at every play you just keep on going and keep on exceeding to what you have to do. So
people, everybody's looking at you guys to stay calm and kind of calm everybody, right? Is that when you guys are out there in the huddle and you get those looks a lot like, I need to be the one in charge here?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
What play do you guys get excited about when it comes into the huddle or gets called? We'll start with you.
Probably passing play.
Any passing
we
play.
we throw the ball a lot, so anything I can throw down the ball down the field. So.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, any passing play, especially the deep ball.
Yeah.
The deep ball.
I definitely agree with Nick there. Going deep's always sweet to see if you can connect on it, and any double move plays that your big hitters.
So take us through the beginning of a play when you're going up to the line of scrimmage. I know you guys are in shotgun a lot, and more and more teams aren't even huddling. It's, you guys set and then everybody turns and looks. And but what are you guys looking for when you're looking at the defense pre-snap?
Pre-snap, I look at the safeties, 2 high, 1 high first, and then I look out to the corners, see if they're off or they're pressed, and then we check in to look at linebackers and see who's blitzing or look if we have to make a hot route or something. So.
What do you think?
The safeties, 2 or 1 high, and then like the leverage of the corners, how far they're playing.
Same as Nick and yeah. The safeties, the corners, and then once you read that, I mean, just the linebackers, see if there's any pressure coming, see where you gotta go to.
Okay. Well, we're almost at the end of our segment, so I want to talk about the end of a game. You've all been in late game tense situations. I know you had an overtime game right off the bat. You had one last week. Now you've had Dustin, you've had a couple late game drives. Tell me a little bit about what it's like on that drive, nerves or just kind of keeping focused, how difficult that is to go through something like that. We'll start with you.
I like to stay calm and think about what I have to do on that play and not think about the big picture. I had a lot of incidents in basketball last year where I'd have to be on the free throw line at the end of the game, and I always keyed in to just saying, you know what, just make the shot and don't think about the stands, what the paper would say, and all that stuff. So you just got to focus on what you got to do. So.
Yeah, same with him. Just zone out the crowd. Just don't really worry about them and just worry about the play that's happening.
Agreeing with them again, but you just got to have the right mindset that you're going to go down and score and nothing can stop you.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for now. We're going to give you a break, and we'll bring you back on later on in the show and talk a little bit more. For now, I wanted to let you know about a feature we have here on cleveland.com each week. It's called Riding in Cars with Coaches. It's basically we find a football coach who's brave enough to get into a moving vehicle with our own Joe-Noga, and he'll go ahead and videotape the whole thing with a dash cam. And this week's installment includes Bedford's Sean Williams. We put together a run of outtakes on that ride, so you can go and take a look at that.
I came home and told my mom, guess what? I met Hanford Dixon at Bedford High School at the pep rally. Guess what he told me? All I got to do is focus on school and everything else will be all right. I'm sure she wanted to punch me in the face like, I've been telling you that for 13 years, Bird Brain. And for me, it's no pressure. The only pressure is for me is because this is my community. This is where I live. This is where I go to the grocery store. I can't get in my car and go away and kind of leave work. I'm at work all the time. To see the program, when these guys were seniors, it was 17 kids on the freshman football team, this senior class.
Wow.
We got 53 now.
Wow. You said you played football there?
Yeah, that's where we grew up playing, in the street. When a car came, you called motion.
Who would you pay money to go see in concert?
Not go see. I tell you what, I would love to go see Janet Jackson again in concert. She was phenomenal. I went and saw her when she was at the Coliseum. That was great. Wish I could see Michael Jackson again in concert. That was good.
Who makes you laugh? Comedians or television shows or anything like that?
Mike Epps. Mike Epps is one of my favorite comedians. You know what's funny to me, and I kind of watch it secretly by myself, is The Big Bang Theory. That show cracks me up. There's a bunch of nerds and geeks in there talking about some of the silliest stuff, but that's a funny show. I enjoy that show.
That's good. Any example of when competitive comes out in you like that? Or?
Oh, when it comes out?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be at home playing with the kids. He's going up to dunk his little basketball in there, and he says you can't get it. Bam! Blocking that shot. Get it out of here.
You will reject a kid's basketball shot.
Get it out of here, buddy. We are not giving rewards just for being on the team. You got to compete.
All right, welcome back. And you can look for that video, Riding in Cars with Coaches with Sean Williams, tomorrow morning on cleveland.com, cleveland.com/HS Sports. Let's move to our roundtable segment. Mark, this morning we asked our readers if a football game was on the line, what area player would you call on? Who gets the ball for you with the game on the line?
Giving the ball to Denzel Ward. The kid is special. Anytime he touches the ball, seems like he can go for 6. So I want the ball in his hands.
Well, we'll tell David to relay the message here. For me, one player has really had an electric season, Andy Isabella, averaging 5.8 yards a carry, 7 touchdowns, 15 yards of reception, has a 94-yard kickoff return. I want to get the ball to Andy Isabella in some way at the end of the game. Our readers have been commenting on that post all day. We want to keep the conversation going in there on cleveland.com, hashtag neo-varsity on Twitter. Make sure you log in and leave your comments. We've got a couple of remarks. Football Junkie in here says Denzel agrees with Mark. Denzel Ward is a freak of nature. Also mentioning David Murray, who's here in the studio, saying his completion percentage 68% on the season, and Alex Alders. So the Nordonia-Knights very well represented in the comments here on the roundtable discussion. If you have an opinion, the votes here, you're seeing who's leading in the poll. As far as you can log in at any time and make sure you click through. I'm actually going to vote in the poll right now and see that David Murray's leading, followed by Mitch Guadagni and Jack Cook from St. Ignatius among the top candidates here. All right. Next up, we want to remind you, again, social media, we are constantly monitoring at neo-varsity on Twitter. You feel free to log in and leave us your questions and comments there. Now let's move to our game show segment. I am joined by St. Edward Senior Alex Stump. Alex, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, good to hear from you. Alex, you recently announced your commitment to The Ohio State University to play wide receiver for the Buckeyes. How are you feeling about that, Alex?
It feels amazing. It's definitely a dream come true, and it's something that I've always kind of dreamt about.
Sidelined right now for the rest of the season with a foot injury, but your Eagles are still doing pretty well, hoping to reach that state title game. It's down in Columbus this year. What would it mean to you for St. Edward to get down there to the Division I state championship game and play in the horseshoe and to be on the field there watching your teammates?
Everything. It'd mean everything to me. I mean, everyone, including myself, we worked so hard in the off season, to get better and to reach that goal. So I think for me, it would mean everything, and to the team, it would mean everything. So, I mean, that's our goal, and anything short of that would be kind of be disappointed.
Well, we've got 3 quarterbacks here in the studio right now, and they're looking at pictures of Alex on the screen. And I've noticed they're watching intently. They would all probably be pretty thrilled to be able to throw the ball to you in a game. In the meantime, let's play our game. You up for it? We're going to play Buckeye Grab Bag since you're a newly minted Buckeye. You ready?
I'm ready.
I've got a list in front of me. It's the all-time leading touchdown receptions for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going to give you a name, and you have to tell me whether that Buckeyes player is in the top 10 all-time or if he's outside the top 10. You need 3 out of 5 to win. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, the first one, Chris Carter.
Definitely in the top 10.
Yes, he is. He's number 2 with 27 touchdowns. Brian Robisky.
He's outside the top 10.
Brian Robisky is number 4 on the list with 24 touchdowns in his career. All right, next one, name pretty familiar in these parts, Ted Ginn Jr.
I would say he's in the top 10.
Ted Ginn Jr. is not in the top 10. He's tied for number 12 with 15.
Okay.
Next up is Dane Sanzenbacher.
Yes.
Dane Sanzenbacher is tied with Ted Ginn Jr., number 5 all time. He's number 9. He's got number 19. He's number 12. He's got 19 touchdowns. David Boston.
David Boston. I would say he's probably number 1.
Absolutely correct. He's number 1 with 34 touchdown catches all time. I wasn't keeping track of how many you got there, so it doesn't really matter. Thanks. But you got plenty of time to study up on the list of top 10 all-time Ohio State Buckeyes receivers and maybe write your name on there as well.
Exactly. That's for sure.
Alex, anything you're looking forward to as far as the rest of this season goes? What should we expect out of the Eagles as they march toward the playoffs?
I think you can expect us, keep getting better. I'm at practice every day. We're still working hard, and I I would say, we'll probably hit our peak come playoff time and try to make a run.
Okay. Are you doing any coaching in any huddles, doing any meetings or anything like that?
I'm trying to. I'm kind of focusing on the receivers and kind of, getting them more focused and stuff like that. But, it's definitely a lot easier for me to be around the team and kind of, they help me out a lot, getting through this injury. So.
All right. Well, Alex, it was a pleasure having you here on Neo-Varsity Live. Thanks for playing our game, and best of luck to you and the Eagles the rest of this season.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. At this time, we're going to take a moment to look at the playoff picture in the region. About, I believe, 7 teams in the Northeast Ohio Media Group's 7-county coverage area have clinched playoff berths according to unofficial results from Drew Pasteur's Fantastic50.net website. Let's go ahead and go over those. I believe in Division I, Region 1, Hudson is the team that has and in Division 2, Region 3, Bedford, Mayfield, and Division 2, Region 4, Nordonia and Midview have secured playoff berths according to Pasteur. And finally, in Division 4, Region 11, Crestwood is 7-0.
All right, I want to welcome back our 3 guests tonight. We have Dustin Crum, Nick Gassman, and David Murray. Thanks for coming back on. We're going to leave the X and O's behind. We kind of covered all that stuff in the first segment and find a little bit more about you guys away from the field. Although, first couple things I want to ask you about are have to do with pregame. Do you or maybe anybody on your team have any pregame rituals or superstitions that you have to go through before a game? Let me start with you.
Not too much. I usually just go home and get Subway or something like that to eat and go to the game later. Listen to my music and everything.
Yeah.
Before every game, I get Subway with a couple of guys on the team.
We stay after. Coach Fox usually has a guest speaker that comes in. Then we all go to team dinner together, and then I like to go and listen to my music and walk the field and get the atmosphere right for the night. So.
Okay. Stick with pregame a little bit. I think a trend you see now is everybody has those big inflatable tunnels you run through. And then there's the old stand by the banner that the cheerleaders decorate and everybody runs through. Do you guys have a preference on either of those before the game?
I would probably say classic banners probably would be my favorite out of those two.
Yeah, running out on the banner.
Yeah.
We have a kid that runs out with the flag and we're with the cheerleaders, so
Yeah.
that's always a plus. So.
I think we've all seen those YouTube videos where somebody runs right into the banner. I mean, is that like the worst nightmare of a football player, being the first guy and not making it through? Have you guys been the first guy and something like that?
No, not too much.
Yeah.
Would you want to be?
No.
Yeah.
When you have a successful team, you get a lot of crazy fans, especially the students. You see a lot of students having themes and dressing up. When you look at what your student section has done this year, I guess what sticks out to you? Is there a theme they've done or something crazy that you really enjoyed? We can start with you.
Our student section came out against Mayfield and had the whole entire stands packed. So that was always great to see. They've been really loud and supportive all year, and I love those kids. So.
How about you, Nick?
Our student section did a whiteout, and we had a lot of people there, and they cheered us on through the whole game.
Yeah.
And when we score a touchdown, there's like this barrel they're in, and our 6'11" center on our basketball team stands on it, and they're like carrying them across the field.
My favorite theme probably was our student section did a camo out. It was pretty cool. They all got painted up and everything, and it was pretty sweet.
Let's talk about the NFL a little bit here. If you could play quarterback for any team, it could even be past or present, which team would it be?
I'd have to say the Cleveland Browns. My whole family are big Browns fans, so it'd always be a blessing to play for them. So.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns definitely.
I would probably say the Broncos with some of the receivers they have there. I mean, they got some great players.
Would you guys have said Browns last year?
Yeah, I'd have to. Man.
It doesn't matter. Even though we're 5 games into the season, everybody's still debating the Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel situation. If you were starting a team today, which quarterback would you want? Johnny Manziel or Brian Hoyer? We can start with you.
I think Johnny Manziel is more of an exciting player to watch and everything, but I agree with Coach Pettin putting in Brian Hoyer because he's been there last year. He's got the team. I feel like he's more of a leader. He has the guys to surround around him, so I'd stick with Brian Hoyer, although I'm a huge Johnny Manziel fan. So.
I agree with him. I'm a huge Johnny Manziel fan, but Brian Hoyer does just enough to get the win. So.
Yeah. How about you, Dustin?
I would agree with that. I'd say Brian Hoyer is definitely a better fit for their system, and Johnny Manziel's kind of do-it-your-own thing kind of guy.
Yeah. Now, if you're at the end of the game, one play to win it, which NFL receiver are you looking for?
Calvin Johnson.
I was about to say Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
It had to be. So.
Definitely, yeah.
Pretty much across the board?
Yeah.
Because he makes your job easy, right? You just got to throw it in his general direction.
Throw it up and let him get it.
Now, I know your world kind of centers around football, especially during the football season, but when you're not playing football, how do you feel all the time that football is taken up? We can start with Dustin.
I play other sports, like basketball and baseball, usually, always all year round, basically training for that, and football as well.
Same here. If I'm not playing football, I'm either doing basketball or baseball.
It's always something.
Same here, basketball and baseball and school. So.
When you get to the post-game, there's a post-game meal in each of your cities. We'll start with Macedonia. Where are you going for a post-game meal?
Post-game, Chipotle. Chipotle is really big in our town, and if you go there after the games, you can always see all the guys there and stuff. So.
Yeah. Now you have the luxury of two cities here with Middelburg Heights and
Either
Berea.
VW3s or Applebee's.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we usually go.
Everybody's going with chains. No
No,
family-owned
home restaurant.
places.
Wolfie's is probably definitely the place to be in for Midview. We have a lot of people always meet there after the games.
Okay. Last question. You win the state title. Who's the first person you look out for and hug?
My mom. I'd have to go with my mom.
You're running up into the stands.
Yeah, she's been there for me since day one, and it'd just be great to see her and know that I did that for my family. So.
And definitely my parents.
Probably my dad being one of my coaches would be real cool.
All right. Well, maybe you'll all get a chance to do that, although only one of you guys can make it out of the region,
Yeah.
so I don't have to fight over that. All right, that'll do it for now. I appreciate you guys coming in, and we'll look forward to you guys the rest of the season.
Thanks for having
Thank you.
us.
Now we want to move on and go back to our pop quiz question. And remember earlier in the show we threw this out to you, and we're looking for answers, and we want to see if any of you got it right. The question today was, how many undefeated teams remain in cleveland.com top 25? And the answer is C7. And I don't believe we had anybody who got that right. All they had to do was look. I think they were trying to guess and not look at the post. I'm guaranteed you're not going to have 7 at the end of the season because 2 of those teams are going to play each other in Menor and Hudson. So now before we get to our last segment, I want to remind everybody that we're always looking for your feedback, and that includes video. If you go to a game and shoot video, it can be with your phone, it can be something you post on Vine and tweet out, or on Instagram. Tweet it, #neo-varsity, and we'll see it, and we'll use it on the show, and maybe you'll see it next week. And again, we're always looking for comments down here in the comments section, or anything on Twitter about the show, and we're always looking for your feedback. So it's prediction time. I think Joe's happy over there because last week he got 3 out of 3. This part of the show, we kind of talk about what could happen, what should happen, and what will happen. And like I said, Joe was 3 for 3 last week. I don't know if that's happened yet this season. One of his more impressive predictions was that Benedictine would score a defensive touchdown. So props on that. I was 1 for 3. I said Brunswick would lead Mentor at some point during the game, and I did get that right. So let's go. I'll start off for this week. I'm going to go ahead and say that St. Ignatius could beat Moeller this weekend. What do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and say West Geauga could beat Chagrin Falls. That's a big rivalry game, so we'll see how that goes.
My prediction, Chardon could upset Riverside and ruin the Beavers' shot at a outright Premier Conference title.
Okay, I'm going to go with the NOC on this next one. I'm going to say Stowe and Brunswick, who both have 2-game losing streaks, should end those this week. I think they have 2 very winnable games, and they should come out ahead in this.
And Joe talked about teams that have clinched home field playoffs. I'm going to go Nordonia should clinch a first-round home playoff game with a win.
I got Menor should lock up a first-round home playoff game with a win against Solon.
Okay. This is the money one here because we're saying what will happen. I'm going to go ahead and say that Lake Catholic will lead Benedictine at some point this weekend.
Going to go Kinston quarterback. Parker Gadula will throw at least 4 touchdowns in the Bombers game against Harvey.
I've got Anthony Kostelik, and the Garfield Heights defense will stop Valley Forge running back Richard Worship from scoring at least 5 touchdowns for the third consecutive week. He's got 5 and then 6 in the last 2 weeks. Pretty impressive.
All right, well, there you have it. You can certainly comment down below and tell us how crazy we are for these predictions. And again, we're always looking for your feedback. Even after the show is over, feel free to let us know any of your show suggestions or guests you'd like to see come on in the future. But for now, I'm Scott Patsko along with Mark-Kern and Joe-Noga. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.